Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and your local witch next door. And today I'm talking about tarot and deities. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. Thanks so much for those of you who were able to attend my virtual tarot card creation event recently. If you signed up and were unable to make it, you should have everything in your inbox. So that'll be the event recording, the PDF I made, and an offer to join my upcoming series called Tarot for Transformation. So check your emails. If you weren't able to attend live or didn't register in time, you can get all of that stuff, the full recording, the step-by-step method, examples of the cards I've created, journaling questions, and a 15-page PDF to walk you through it for just $33. I have the link to purchase that in the show notes. I'm also going to be offering a 12-week Tarot for Transformation live course this summer, so if you're interested, you can sign up for that as well for more information. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. I also just updated the Patreon benefits to be bigger and better than ever. So if you do want to support the podcast financially with a couple dollars a month, you can get, if you join the lovers level of the Patreon, you'll get access to an exclusive Discord to chat with me during monthly live streams, and I'll pull a card for each one of my patrons right after I do the monthly New Moon Collective spread. So if you want an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast, you can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family at the lovers level. And if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on the Patreon. If you're local to the greater Puget Sound area, you can check out my meetup Let's Talk Tarot group for latest event postings. And I think the event that's coming up the soonest is my Full Moon Women's Circle local event on July 10th at 7 p.m. So you can sign up for that as well in the show notes. I would love to see you there. If you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you as a listener at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, and more. And if you don't already know, I'm a sex and relationships therapist seeing clients virtually all over Washington State. If you'd like to work with a therapist that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. So you can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right, so welcome to season 10, where I'm talking all about tarot and witchcraft. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you should check those out. I've done a season on tarot basics. I've gone through all the major arcana cards and all 4 suits. I've done a season on tarot and pop culture and 13 common tarot spreads. So if any of that sounds good to you, check out some of the earlier episodes of the podcast. And like I said, we're in season 10 right now, where I'm talking all about tarot and witchcraft, and today we're talking about tarot and deities. All right, so deities is just another word for gods, goddesses, etc. And I thought this was interesting to talk about deities, goddess worship, and then I'm going to be reading a bit from Bewitching the Elements by Gabriella Herstick, her book, about inviting in the goddess, the divine feminine, as spirit. And so I like this portrayal or view of working with deities. Personally, I'm not someone that works with a lot of deities closely. I maybe have a couple that I work with, sometimes with tarot or other rituals or spells, but a lot of the time I'm just thinking about goddess, the universe, like the great goddess. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how I see it intertwining with tarot. So from Gabriella Herstick's book, Bewitching the Elements, they talk about that as inviting in the goddess is a way to have the divine feminine as spirit. So in this chapter, or part of the book, they're talking about spirit. So they started the book by talking about the 4 elements, so fire, water, earth, and air, and then the 5th element that we recognize is spirit. So she says, you've probably recognized the goddess speaks in many languages. She speaks to you in subtle tongues that send shivers of recognition up your spine. In the ancient language of the wind, hitting the leaves of the trees, the goddess speaks to us in dreams, in visions, in poetry. She is the lightning bolt and the destruction left behind. The goddess, no matter what her name is, whatever element rules her or who worships her, is bigger than it all. There is no goddess for spirit because the goddess is spirit. In Hinduism, the energy and principle of the divine feminine is known as Shakti, the mother goddess, whose name means power or energy. She is the dynamic force that also resides at the base of your spine, Kundalini. It is she who birthed other Hindu goddesses like Kali, Parvati, and Durga, and since Shakti is the energy of life energy, it is said that even gods have Shakti or Shakti energy. Shakti is everywhere. Life force is everywhere. The goddess is everywhere. What do you remember? Your own divinity. How do you call this back in? Through magic, devotion, and claiming your power. So honoring the spirit of the great goddess, there are infinite expressions of the divine feminine, of the goddess of spirit. You could go your whole life and never dedicate yourself to one deity, or you could spend your entire life dedicated to a particular goddess, and one doesn't make you a more valuable feminist or goddess worshiper or witch. There's never been and never will be one right way to worship, and at this point in the toxic patriarchy, we need as many goddess worshippers as possible. However, you may not feel called to worship a particular goddess. Maybe you feel more connected to the energy of the divine feminine when she doesn't have a face. Perhaps you worship her through the cycles of the moon, or as the great goddess who dies and is reborn as we go through the wheel of the year. While I lay out rituals and meditations for you to connect with different facets of the divinity, what matters most is your connection, what speaks to you, and whatever magic you feel like bringing to the table. What matters is whatever language you find yourself and the divine both fluent in. You can connect to the goddess through the elements, using these aspects of the natural world to create faces for her. Maybe instead of worshiping Venus, you worship bodies of water. Instead of Gaia, you worship the mountains that surround your family home. Instead of Kali, you worship the sun, and instead of Nut, you worship the sky and wind. Goddess worship is worship of the natural world, of the earth in all her fullest glory. It doesn't matter if you don't call her name as long as you feel it. If you don't want to devote yourself to a specific goddess and perhaps instead want to work with an all-encompassing energy like Shakti or spirit or the moon, you can still work with individual goddesses through meditation and specific rituals and spells. You can also create an all-white altar to Shakti or the moon, complete with perfumed candles and blooming white roses, or you can dedicate an altar to all the goddesses and goddess energy you have in your life. Goddess energy isn't only cultivated by goddesses, as all of us are reflections of the divine nature. You can also honor people who have the qualities that you admire and want to foster in yourself, including ancestors, deities, and pop stars alike. There's nothing and no one stopping you from putting photos of your mom or other folks on your goddess altar. If you admire qualities in a person, it's important to remember that these are people, that they may not live up to your standards or be who you expect them to be, but you can still find your inner goddess by following the spark and light these people shared with you. So if you are working with a matron goddess, she says, even among celestial beings, drama is drama. Each deity comes with their own baggage, their own point of view, and their own voice. When you work with goddesses, you're seeing spirit in a container. You're seeing one manifestation out of endless ones. This means you're also seeing one side to something that has an infinite number of sides. The truth is that gods and goddesses come with their own agendas. The celestial and divine beings that are Venus and Nut and Kali and Gaia come with their own intention. Kali and the other dark goddesses like Hekate, Lilith, Babylon, and Morrigan, who dwell in the realm of death and transformation and decay, can ask a lot of us, sometimes in a scary way. Yet these goddesses hold potent wisdom and can help you face your fears and demons head on. She says, I love working with dark goddesses and have had some of my most transformative and potent experiences in this realm. If you decide to approach or are approached by a dark goddess, you can ask to connect with them with compassion and with love. Cast a circle if you feel like it. It would help you feel more comfortable and talk to the goddess of your worries. But know that if you're entering the sphere of this potent feminine wisdom, you're surrendering to the goddess. And sometimes the goddess can be that bitch and do something you think is unfair or something that would hurt you in the moment. Yet in one way or another, these manifestations of divinity teach us a lesson, helping you on your path of unfolding karma. And that's why you came back. When you work with a goddess, you're getting spirit distilled into whatever this goddess rules over. Venus is the distillation of love, as Kali is the distillation of transformation. These archetypes are specific aspects of the divine, and you can work with different goddesses at different points of your life, connecting to archetypes that embody the cycles and experiences they're going through. A matron goddess is a goddess you dedicate yourself to, one that you mainly work with and are devoted to. She says, personally, I'm a devotee of Venus, although I also work with other goddesses, including Kali, Hekate, and the goddess of the witches. I have a daily meditation practice that includes a devotional aspect to Venus, and I also create art for and inspired by her. I meditate and perform rituals dedicated to her. I invoke her, and as I see myself as a reflection of her. Each person's relationship to the matron goddess or patron god, which is the same relationship with a god, will be unique and reflection of that person's own unfolding and evolution. Yeah, so that is definitely my philosophy as well. I have worked with Hekate, Ankali, also Persephone. I think that's about it. Maybe Artemis occasionally. But most of the time I work with kind of this idea of like the great goddess or the universe, or even when I work with Hekate, that's sort of how I view her, as like Mother Earth, Mother Goddess. And so today I thought it would be interesting to go through a tarot spread that is guidance from each of the elements. So like I said, this book, Bewitching the Elements, is all about it's a guide to empowering yourself through earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. So we sort of talked about the spirit aspect. And of course, there are tarot spreads to get to know certain deities, or if you have one coming to you, or to get to know them, like to do tarot spreads about that, or how to engage with them. But I thought it would be interesting to do this elemental spread to sort of see, like to connect with all these elements, and also thinking of how this relates to spirit or goddess or deity worship as an aspect of the elements, but not like the whole thing. So we're going to do a long spread, a 9-card spread today. All right, so grab your tarot decks. I'm going to grab mine as well. And like I said, we're doing a 9-card spread. So it sort of looks like a pentagram. So the 5-sided star with the 6th card in the middle, and then we have 7, 8, 9 or below the star. As well, and I can put an image linked on my podcast or on my website as well if you want to see what it looks like. But yeah, grab your tarot decks, give them a quick shuffle, and we'll get into these cards. And I am going to be pulling from my Anima Mundi deck today by Megan Weirer-Wenden. That just feels right for some reason. This deck does have a lot of animals, plants, different sort of elemental creatures, and so I thought that that would be fun. All right, so let's get into it. So card number 1 is going to go at the top, and this is about spirit. Where am I being asked to witness the abundance and miracles in my life right now? And I pulled the 2 of Pentacles reversed. So let's take a look at what that might be about. So the Two of Pentacles reversed is about mishandling of money, financial stress, or disorganization. Usually the Two of Pentacles is this card of balance or kind of conflicting interests, like feeling like you're getting pulled in multiple directions. So reverse, this would be sort of about like you're being pulled in different directions in a way that is just not advantageous to you. So it says, where am I being asked to witness the abundance and miracles in my life? It sounds like maybe for me right now, it is around this idea of like, actually there's all these different avenues towards abundance, and there's not just one way. So that's going to be sort of my interpretation of that. All right, card 2 is about the element of water. So what are my emotions trying to tell me right now? And I pulled Temperance. And it's very funny. Temperance has been coming up for me recently. And so that's kind of interesting. It's not a card, honestly, that I've paid much attention to before. So Temperance, so I pulled this one upright. The depiction of the card has an azalea or a rhododendron, and Temperance is about taking the middle road. Drawing this card indicates you have achieved inner peace and you are in need of it, or are in need of it. Go with the flow, take everything in moderation, and don't stretch yourself too thin. So when we're talking about, right, the question of what are my emotions trying to tell me right now, don't stretch yourself too thin, right? Like find balance, is what Temperance is asking. And also that like right, it sounds like you've been working on your emotional state and working on that. And so that is kind of another element that's in there. All right, so let's pull the third card. This is Fire. What is keeping me fueled and passionate? All right, and I pulled a fiery card. I pulled the 10 of Wands reversed. So let's take a look at that. So 10s are usually about completion. Again, wands are fiery energy or creativity. So it says reversed, this is about an overburden or avoiding responsibility. And again, what is keeping me fueled and passionate? Interesting. So upright, this would be about you've accomplished goals, but now you must deal with the burden of success. You find that in order to stay on top, you must maintain the responsibilities you created that are working. You may even need to let go of some of the responsibilities to avoid overburden. So I would say that this is sort of telling me, right, that okay, there's this element of I have a lot going on, and that is fueling, right, my passion, my fire self, and right, I need to be careful that I'm not going overboard, that I'm not catching on fire, right, and becoming burned out, literally, right? Again, if you think of a fire being burned out means that like it's very hard to start again, right? You don't have any embers left. It's like totally gone. It's spread out, and it's hard to rekindle it again. All right, let's pull for card 4, which is about the earth element. Where am I supported and safe? I pulled the Hierophant, and so this is a very earth looking image. It's like a stag or like a I'll find exactly what it is in a minute. It's an elk, okay, with like big antlers. The Hierophant suggests to stay within convention. Rather than being innovative, now is the time to stick to what has already been tried and true. The Hierophant, however, also encourages pursuing knowledge, such as through education or joining a group. So it can be about this like conforming, but it can also just be about like not like sort of doing what's within the box. So again, where do I feel supported and safe, right? It sounds like by staying sometimes within the things that I know work out, right? By not trying to go outside the box or reinvent the wheel, by just doing the things that I know are working for me. All right, so card 5 is about air. And this is the one on the left, and I pulled the 5 of Swords, an air sign. So this is very interesting. Okay, so where am I able to be my fullest self and to be present? And it is in reverse, so we'll see. Maybe it's telling me I'm not able to be present. So again, this was the Five of Swords reversed. It says reversed, it's about unresolved conflicts, reopening wounds, negotiating, or willingness to change. So upright, it's about picking your battles wisely, thinking before you act. It's about tension and disagreement. Most of the fives are about kind of tension and conflict. So even if you've won the battle, it says you may have lost by hurting others. So let me go back to what the question was again, which says here, where am I able to be my fullest self, to be present? Interesting. So it's saying, I would say maybe my willingness to change. It sounds like sometimes, like if I'm able to maybe work through conflict, or where I'm being myself and being present by actually telling people how I feel, right? And not just trying to go with the flow and like not make waves and bring up topics that I know might be challenging to discuss, but by actually, right, being able to engage with hard conversations is what I'm gonna say. So card 6 is about where am I living in alignment. This one goes in the middle of that pentagram. So this is the, I'm trying to do my Roman numerals upside down, the Four of Wands. So right before the 5, which is interesting. Also reversed. Oh, wait, this is Wands, not Swords. Okay, so not right before. This is Wands. Four of Wands reverse is about tension, instability, difficult home life, and breakdown in communications. And again, it says that this is where am I living in enlightenment. So this again is like a bit of a challenging read here. So the Four of Wands upright is stability, fulfillment, harmony, reaching a milestone. This card's associated with the home. So it says it might be a good time to spend quality time with family and friends. And it sounds like, again, sort of reversed would be like I'm having a difficult time doing that, or, and again, this is where am I living in alignment. So maybe it's trying to find that, right? Trying to find this stability, this harmony, trying to find this milestone that I might be reaching. I have like an inkling about what this might be about. And this is sort of telling me, right, that I should spend time with other people and that will maybe fill that enlightenment piece. Okay, let's move on to card 7, which is where am I being called to live more in alignment? Okay. And I pulled the Strength card in reverse. So many reversals today. Let's see. Strength. So the Strength card on here is like a Hercules beetle. I'm going to look at the reversal first. It says self-doubt, lacking self-discipline, insecurity, or cowardice. And again, this is where am I being called to live more in alignment. So I would say for this one, right, it says in contrast, so upright. In contrast to the physical willpower of the Chariot, strength is about overcoming difficulties through inner strength. It's about taming your inner beast to let your inner voice shine through. Stand up for what is right no matter what. Offer love, compassion, and forgiveness to others. So yeah, I would say I'm being called into this, like having courage, compassion, persistence, and conquering my fears, and that will lead me into more alignment. Card 8 is what element can I call more into my life to help me find balance? And I pulled the Six of Cups. And cups are about emotions, so I have some guesses as to what this is going to be. So again, reversed, it's about resisting change, naivete, stuck in the past, or unrealistic expectations. Upright, it is about feeling nostalgic. It says it's fine to occasionally take a walk down memory lane, but remember that the past is behind you and it's not wise to be constantly dwelling in it. Focus on the now. So right, I would say the element is probably like a watery element because this is a cups card. So perhaps about calling like emotions, right? Being more present in my emotions in my life. And also it sounds like, right, sort of moving forward. So not, right, if reversed, it's about resisting change or feeling stuck in the past or unrealistic expectations, right? To move out of that, to move into a new place, or to sort of embrace the element would be embracing change, right? To move, to be in the now, if not in the future, and to have sort of realistic expectations about yourself and others. And then finally, card 9 is what wisdom should I carry with me moving forward? And I pulled the Ace of Cups in reverse. We're getting so many reversal practice today. So reversed, it says it's about blocked emotions, bottling up feelings, and emptiness. What wisdom should I carry with me moving forward? But upright, it's about the beginning of emotional fulfillment, of love, compassion, and happiness. It says perhaps you're starting a new relationship where you're giving and receiving love with another person. Open your heart to those around you, learn forgiveness, and reach out and make connections. So upright, it's about love, compassion, overflowing emotions, and creative expression. So again, I would sort of interpret this that the wisdom I should be moving forward with is like of the Ace of Cups, which would be about, right, following our intuition, sort of allowing for emotional fulfillment, to have compassion for others, to find our own happiness, for love, starting new things, whether that's a relationship or some kind of agreement, or, right, I think could be like a house, a job, a relationship, buying property, something like that. So opening, right, being vulnerable, because again, cups are all about emotions, and so this would be about vulnerability, right? And not leaning into blocking it or bottling it up, but actually sharing it, opening your heart to those around you, learning forgiveness, and reaching out and making connections. All right, so that is the wisdom that I should be carrying forward. So with that, we have pulled all of our cards, our 9-card spread, and then I am going to pull one final card to see if there's anything else to be learned today, if there's anything else the cards want to share with us about this whole discussion of elements or deities or goddess worship. Let's see. I'm going to pull from the Sacerdote Tarot deck by Stacia Burrington. And I'm going to give a quick shuffle here and say, you know, what else do we need to know as we think about elements or deities or goddess worship or the great goddess? What can we keep in mind? What might we be missing? I pulled the Page of Wands. So wands, right, are a fire sign. They are creative energy. The page is like young energy. If we think about the court cards, we have page, knight, king, queen. So the page is about confidence, enthusiasm, and charm. This card is youthful, optimistic, creative energy. It can represent a catalyst for change. The young woman I've illustrated here is bright-eyed, inspired, and wears a flame insignia on her chest. Her hair is also fire-like. Think of your creative spirit as a fire, therefore. It needs fuel and wood. Throw some wood on your fire. What inspires you, gets you all worked up. Go get you some more of that. As a page, this card can also signify a messenger and the arrival of news. All right, well, thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Links for the tarot decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And just as a reminder, this podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with thoughts, questions, and more. All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.